All right, everybody, here we go with Imba FXO Bratok against Liquid Haypro. They're going to be squaring off in a Terran versus Sturg. Starting map is going to be dual site, and of course, I'm with my good old friend Orb. Orb, what you think about this TVZ, bro?
Oh, I'm excited, man. On dual site, TVZs can be really interesting. I think thanks to the way that the Zanaga towers are laid out and the pathways on this map, so should have a pretty exciting game ahead of us.
Definitely. Now, dual site is kind of an interesting map. I've heard a lot of different things from different players. It still hasn't been tested completely. We've heard people saying Terran is kind of advantage. We've heard people say Zerg is kind of advantage. And I haven't really gotten a definitive answer on how really it works out. There's a lot of counterattacking opportunities for Zerg in particular, but it's kind of hard to get a third. Every single time you get a third, it's a closer push distance for your opponent. It makes it really, really difficult sometimes. And a Terran can keep you on 2 base for a very long time if they keep doing that.
That's very true. At the same time, what's great about this map is the complete lack of any destructible rocks. So while it's difficult to take a third due to its positioning, at least it's not like on a map like Tal'Darim Altar where you're going to have to wait until you can take out those rocks to take your third. So if you do want to take a quick third on this map, you can accomplish it. You just have to worry about holding that map control.
Precisely. And you know what? It's so nice to break away from the destructible rocks. We've seen that been added to so many different maps. Even Metalopolis for NASL, we've gotten additional rocks at the gold expansion. But you know what? It's not always the way to solve things. Destructible rocks aren't always that great. Nevertheless, we have just a nice, pristine, 2 Xel'Nagas in the middle, and that's going to really situate map control. Now, what I think it's going to come down to is a Terran actually situating those towers. If Terran is able to really hold those towers for a long time, I feel like it's so difficult for Zerg to do anything. Terran can always move and position where needed to, just so you can intercept the Zerg army very, very nicely. But as soon as they lose control of that, that's when Zerg really gets the advantage. They can mobilize with those mutas, with those Zerglings, and just run amok.
Yeah, it's absolutely true. When you have that Zanaga tower, you can really control pretty much all the pathways on this map, and there's not that much space around the edges of the map to allow things like mutas or dropships to go past. So if you do have those Zanaga towers, you also have a couple of overlords situated around. You can really easily take a lot of expansions, defend them pretty easily, and we are going to see that hatchery first on the way from Haypro. So he's feeling very confident, despite how open the wide open the natural is. He knows his opponent's not going for any type of proxy 2-racks or anything. He does get the drone into Bratok space. And he's going to see the gas up, so that's going to let him know that we are going to be seeing most likely something like a Reactor Hellion expansion here. Could conceivably, of course, be some type of rush to Banshee, though.
Yeah, I mean, I'm almost positive it's going to be some sort of Reactor Hellion, especially with this extractor going up. So annoying. It basically says, hey, Terran, you have to do this exact thing. Going Cloak Banshees is out of the question right now. It's so hard to kill that extractor with such low DPS. Yes, I said Marines have low DPS. But I'm going to get shot for that, by the way. But nevertheless, you have that factory going down, and we're probably going to be seeing a reactor coming up pretty soon.
Now, do you think it's a better idea for Haypro, given the fact that he knows Bratok is pretty much forced into this build? Do you think it's a better idea for him to rush out roaches to deal with this, or just utilize SimCities, Queens, and Spines?
I think for this map, well, it's still difficult. I do always prefer the Zerglings with metabolic boost, and you just play very, very conservative. But there have been players that have been very, very annoying. Players like DeMuslim that go 2 factory Hellions, or excuse me, 2 factories and double Reactor Hellions, which is so difficult to hold off. I'm really on the fence with this. I think either style is pretty viable. You just need correct SimCity if you're going Zerglings. If you're going Roaches, you just need to be in your base for quite a long time. But I do gotta like the Zerglings.
Yeah, Zerglings can be very effective once you get that speed upgrade if you can get the surround, but of course it can be a little bit risky if the Terran player does get quick blue flame and you don't see that coming. Can be in a lot of trouble, so we do see the Roach Warren already about halfway done here from Haypro, so he's just going to be playing it completely safe in that regard. Now, I've seen a lot of players just tech up off 2 bases to Roach Baneling speed. They just get that layer up for Baneling speed, Roach speed, then take the third. Or do you think it's more likely here that we might see just a Muta rush from Haypro?
It's kind of difficult. We'll see how many roaches he makes. The one good thing about roaches is that you don't have to spend a lot of larvae, so you can really push in a lot of drones if you can manage to squeeze it out. The biggest problem with the roaches is that they're not static units, so they're susceptible to mobility. They don't have that ability to just, you know, range out all these Hellions. We can see this first Hellion already going to be able to get up into the base, and you know, Haypro can't do anything about it. So Bradok's going to have a really nice scout out on his entire base.
That was actually a really cute trick. While Bratok is microing this Hellion, getting some Zergling kills, but it does get surrounded and killed off. While he was doing that, Haypro actually had a single Zergling that he ran up into Bradok's base, and he was just leaving it under the barracks. So Bratok actually could not land his barracks down on that reactor. He just had it sitting there for an extremely long amount of time. He also did not start Blue Flame. I guess he didn't want to see Haypro seeing that tech lab moving. Didn't want to see that it's actually upgrading. But has started that now, so he's going to go up to Blue Flame. Does have that second barracks on the way now, as well as a bunker, and his orbital command's already done. But I mean, during that time, he did fall pretty far behind his build. He was actually up to about 700 minerals and 300 gas when that Zergling was blocking the barracks. So really cute move there from Haypro. Yeah,
definitely so. And now the Roach is going to be able to move up, see exactly what's going on. Doesn't know if a Banshee is coming in just yet. I'm pretty sure he knows about the Orbital Command Center. You can always kind of assume that that Orbital Command Center is coming out. Actually, he sees it with the Overload. But you can always assume it because the second refiner was delayed for so much longer. We can see Haypro has decided to take a very fast third, and I believe because of that is going to stick on this just spawning pool, or excuse me, Zergling, Roach, and Baneling composition, and just get a massive creep spread, being able to defend against everything. And for what Bratok is doing, I think Haypro is going to be looking really, really good.
Yeah, he's got everything in place right now. He's got melee upgrades on the way. As you said, Croup Spread. He has that extra Queen that he will be able to just send over to that third to start larva injecting. But first, of course, does set up the Creep Spread ahead of time. So that really is going to help him out with that map control, with that defense later on. Bradok's expansion is done, though. But, I mean, it is 31 Harvesters to 39 right now with the third about to complete for Haypro. So Haypro definitely looks like he's in a great position in this game. He does have to be careful with that Overlord in Bradok's space. Pretty soon, probably going to want to go sacrifice that and get some nice scouting information as he's playing a little bit in the dark right now. But the Blue Flame Hellions are running the third of Haypro, trying to do some aggression, but there is a Queen and 5 Roaches in position.
Yep, and that's going to be fended off very easily. So now what Bratok sees is, oh my gosh, there's already an expansion. I need to be pushing or doing something. I need to do some sort of damage, because if I let this third go up very easily before lair, I'm going to get destroyed by just the sheer power of the larva injects with, of course, making drones. So I think Bratok will be gearing up for some sort of push. Stim is a very, very far away. He might have to do just a straight-up stim push without combat shields. That could be very, very gruesome. Right now, Haypro has one objective, and it's to defend against any all-in pushes, and I think he'll be able to do that very easily.
And there goes that Overlord scouting in. We'll be able to see that starport about halfway done and sees the factory still in the tech lab. But he also sees, of course, the barracks on the reactor. I'm trying to see if he saw the second barracks. He did actually on the tech lab, so that's going to let him know it's not any type of mech play. Of course, he saw all the Marines anyway, so knows that, but it's not going to be like 3 factory mech play. It is going to be mostly infantry based. It's going to let him know that he does need to get out quite a few Banelings. We do see the Baneling nest about 3/4 of the way done now, and we have a melee attacks level 2 and Glio Reconstitution on the way as that lair finishes. So I mean, Haypro's doing everything right now. He's droning up, he's getting that tech up and running, and I feel like he'll be in a pretty good position to defend against this push, assuming he gets enough Banelings out in time.
Yeah, the big problem right now is that Haypro does not have control of those towers, and that's exactly what he needs, because as you can see, his army is completely out of position. We have a lot of units back at the natural, but the army of Bratok is mobilizing right at the third, and this is very scary. There could be a lot of unnecessary hits that go off from these siege tanks just because of sheer out of position, but no, Bradok's actually going to reveal his hand prematurely on this extractor, and I think that's a big mistake. He could have capitalized a lot more position than that.
Yeah, he does have to be very careful, though. He didn't actually know it was there since he didn't want to waste a scan, so he was just inching forward ever so slowly, ever so patiently. Haypro has got his units in position. He's got to be a little bit careful. He's actually taking some fire right now on those Roaches. Oh no, has him on hold position, but I would really like to see him set up a flank right now. I mean, he really, unless he sends a lot of his units around the back, I can't see this many Roaches and Zerglings actually defeating this army from Bratok, and I feel like he might actually be forced to sacrifice the third here.
Yeah, this is kind of a fair situation for Haypro. Haypro needs to decide something. Here we go. Roaches are going to push in, but I don't think it's going to be that developed enough to be able to take all this out. There's just too many Marines, and with the medevac and the Siege support, it's too much. There you go. Every single one of the Roaches going down, and Haypro is left in the dust. That third is going to go down instantaneously. We have a lot of Zerglings, Roaches, and Banelings on the way. What he really needed was the Banelings out with the centrifugal hooks, but unfortunately doesn't have that at all. Haypro just sprinting for that +2 melee attack, and you know what? Bratok is just pushing in without losing basically anything at all.
He's definitely at a huge advantage right now. It seems like Haypro just jumped the gun a little bit, went in for that engagement before he had any of his reinforcements out. There are actually a lot of units in the production tab still. He kind of went in from one angle as well, like he's doing right now, sending his whole army in a line. And all the Banelings go down before killing off the Marines. All the Roaches are going to die as well. And there is the GG from Haypro. Bratok, with that pretty standard Marine tank push, was actually able to take out the third of Haypro and win the game.
And you know what, Jake? I have to say Haypro's build was a little bit questionable. I agreed with most of the stuff he did. I thought, you know, going the Roach Zergling, getting the fast third, it's a good way. But, as I said before, you need control of those watchtowers. If you don't have control of those watchtowers, you're going to get blindsided. You need it. You need that ability to preemptively prepare for any of the battles, and there was just no capacity to do that. And Haypro, as you said, I mean, we've talked countless times outside of NASL. You keep emphasizing, hey, Zerg need to start flanking. They can't do this one-dimensional attack anymore. And we saw that from Haypro, and what did we get? We just had destroyed, devastated Roaches. Zerglings did 0 damage, and Banelings weren't even able to connect.
Absolutely, man. And what you said about map control is so true. I think one of the strengths of going for the early Roach build, as opposed to going for the Speedling build, is that you still have that map control in the center against Hellions. Yeah. Obviously, Speedlings are going to give you more map control with their mobility and the ability to counterattack, but Roaches can engage Hellions straight up and win. So having those Roaches early on is going to allow you to actually go over to those Zanaga towers and take them and hold them until your opponent moves out with Marines and tanks. So unfortunately, Haypro didn't do that. As you said, didn't even have like a single Zergling outside of the Terran base. So Bratok just kind of went forward with that attack, and Haypro didn't see it coming at all until the tanks actually started sieging his third. From there, we ran into that really weird situation where, as you said, yeah, he attacked all from one angle, but also his timing just it confused me a little bit, because Haypro actually sat there with his army. He was teching up, but he wasn't reproducing units yet. So he wasn't really producing any more units. He was just leaving his army there, not engaging, waiting for more Terran reinforcements, essentially. And then he attacked as he started making reinforcements. So yeah, I mean, if he had waited and attacked, either attacked right at the beginning when he had the same number of units anyways, but the Terran had less units, or gotten those reinforcements and waited and attacked after he got those out.
It's very frustrating because last season, Haypro took out Nada 2-0. Okay, Haypro is not a joke TVT. Actually, I love his ZVT. I love his ZVT. I think it's one of the more standard and just robust styles. So to see him go out like that was really, really sad to me. He did go Spire Tech, which was a little bit interesting. I wasn't too sure about that either. But ultimately, you know, at the end of the day, Haypro, just step it up, man. I know you can do it. But we're going to... Go ahead, actually.
I was just about to say, it's what you said. He is a good player. It's just, like, his build was fine. His unit production, everything was fine. It was just the engagement. Exactly. He just engaged improperly and didn't have the map control, and that was it, man.
Exactly. So hopefully he can get it together for game number 2. We're going to be going in there after a short break, so stay with us. We'll be back with more action.